Hello, thanks for watching another Sunday case study. So, this Sunday I'm going to be looking at Akshay Kumar's hands, and not this guy's hands. Now, I foolishly made another video not so long ago, about an hour ago, and messed up completely. I confused this guy for Akshay Kumar, and now looking at them, of course they look completely different. So, let's just forget that ever happened. But what I really want to look at in this palm reading is what the palm can tell us in terms of psychology. What might Akshay be hiding, and what can his plans tell us? What's in store for his future? Now, when most people think of palmistry, they think of divination and fortune telling, but very few seem to recognize that in order to forecast and predict, we need to understand the past and the present, what's going on right now. And from this, we build a basis, we build a pattern. Not too dissimilar, in fact, from how weather forecasters, how the Met Office analyzes weather data to provide you with a forecast. It's actually quite similar. And the palm lines change all the time because our present circumstances change all the time. Now, you might be wondering why I have the Hierophant and the Hermit here. And that's because I've done a little bit of numerology, and I don't think this bit's wrong anyway. He was born on the 9th of the 9th, 1967. So 9 is significant. Twice we see that. When you add all of his numbers together, you get a 5. And when you add the year that he was born, you get a 5. So 5 is also significant. There are two themes here, it seems, throughout this person's life. So I'm going to be breaking down what that means. But first of all, I want to break down the chirognomy, hand shape, the hand and the fingers, and what they tell us. Now, you might be noticing straight away the little finger looks low set, it looks short, and it also looks a little bit crooked. You can see that in particular in this image here. The tip of it's crooked. So on the left here is a slightly older image, and on the right here is a more modern one. And you can see the development and the way the hand has changed over time, in particular to the upper mount of Mars here. Luna seems not as well developed, and the Mars is more developed. So what that shows us is there's less creativity, less imagination, there's less utilizing of the subconscious and the abstract, less creativity and more focus on the material as time's gone by, which is a bit of a shame because being that obviously he's very wealthy now, money should matter less. Creativity and the legacy that he leaves behind should surely matter more. The palm is long. The fingers are not altogether short, but they're certainly not long. This is a fire hand overall, with some airish features, but there's certainly an overarching fiery element here. Venus is well developed. This person enjoys all the pleasures in life. Neptune as well is well developed, as is Luna. This person's public image, their persona in the limelight, how the world perceives them, how the media perceives them, is extremely important to this person. And that idea of how the world sees them is leavened somewhat by the Apollo finger because it's not actually as long as the average actor's Apollo finger. Most actors have a very long Apollo finger because they are natural show-offs. That's how they make their wages. That's how they make their living. Akshay's palms don't really present the typical kind of actor's palms in that way. He has a strong angle of proficiency or time, which shows that he's very good with his hands. The combination of the strength of Venus and upper Mars and Luna, really it shows, and you can also see the calluses here, someone who is quite literally a physically strong individual, but also someone who thrives off of routine as well. And I think there's quite a strong angle of pitch as well. I think this person can sing as well. The fingers tell quite an interesting story, really, because the little finger veers away from the rest of the fingers. This person requires privacy and freedom of isolation to express themselves. Apollo and Saturn want to kind of create space, this person, although they work constantly with a team of others, they probably work best alone. They want to be left alone. And that theme of being left alone, I'm going to come back to, because that's why I pulled out these tarot cards here, 5 and 9, the 5th and 9th card for the major arcana. The fingers are all kind of pinched in at the first knot, ever so slightly, just sort of, pinched in, a little bit wasted here. You can see it on Apollo there as well. And this is always a sign of feelings of neglect when young. And that might throw some light on as to why the Mercury finger is so low set. It's not an altogether short Mercury finger, although it kind of provides the impression that it shrinks over time. And that is a possible sign of previous trauma, repressing. This person is retracting and isolating. They are emotionally inarticulate. The Jupiter finger is, I would say it's on the cusp of being short. There's also a wide basal phalanx of the third Jupiter phalange. That would suggest this person is compensating for by a mild inferiority complex by control and dominating with the physical, with utilizing the body's physical needs, so sex, drugs, chocolate, alcohol, and womanizing. I just want to stress here, this is not by far a bad inferiority complex here. However, in combination with the Mercury finger, just how low set it is and how crooked it is, it's not healthy. In fact, we see the little finger, unless this is something medical like Dupuytren's contracture, which I don't think it is because we don't see a hint of it in the Apollo finger. When we see it kind of contracting like this, it is a sign of the true self kind of shying away. This person doesn't want to reveal their true nature. They have secrets to hide. Notice how Saturn at the tip leans somewhat towards Apollo. Overall, that's not a bad thing. Jupiter and Saturn doing that, both leaning towards the Apollo, as is Mercury. This is showing us that all of this person's attributes are leaning towards this person's talents and their ability to shine. They're a fire hand. They need to inspire and motivate. But in itself, the tip of Saturn leaning towards Apollo could point towards signs of guilt. Now, the reason why I decided to do this video was because one of my subscribers commented and mentioned that I should read the palms of Akshay Kumar's hands because his fate line reaches the headline and doesn't appear to go any further. Now, the images that I've scoured the internet for aren't incredible, unfortunately, but you can see if you look closely that this is reaching past the headline of 35, reaches past the heart line 53, and reaches right up to the girdle of Venus. And there is still something of a career, but this is clearly creating, well, not that clearly, but it is creating some sort of obstacle. And the girdle of Venus, if you've watched my other video on the girdle of Venus, you'll know that this has a lot to do with the sexual psychological makeup. So this is sort of showing that this person's path in life is impeded by their sexual psychological urges. And where this appears to occur is at the age of 63 on the fate line, roughly. And I'd say roughly because part of my conclusion there is based off of the numerology. I'm going to come back to that. I just wanted to prove to everyone that this is actually Akshay's hands because I have a tendency to get this wrong. Now, I would say that judging by this hand, the heart line is relatively straight. It does appear to rise up in between Jupiter and Saturn, which is a good sign. It's certainly got a sense of right and wrong. The headline, the heart line, by the way, is on the straight side. So although this person has a moral conscience, they perhaps at times can come across as quite cold. I wouldn't say this person is unfeeling, the depth of it. And also, it's not altogether that high of a heart line. The head and the heart line, however, are quite close together. So this does in some way kind of refrain generosity. It is particularly interesting how the headline darts upwards away from the lifeline at around about the age of 20. And so this person, in some way, very dramatically claimed their independence. I think the overall reasons why the fate line here is strong until maybe mid-20s, late 20s, and then it kind of appears to weaken before it hits the fate line, and then it kind of strengthens a little bit again after 35. I mean, it's really rough here because it's just such a poor image, but I think what this means is fate doesn't necessarily equate to success. You can be earning lots of money, and your fate line can weaken, become faint. And what that shows us is that we are not satisfied. We're not happy with what we're achieving in life, where we're placing our efforts, because after all, the destiny line, the fate line, the real line, the duty line, the Saturn line, all these things are the same thing, and they show us our purpose, our path, and our journey. It's not so much about, it does equate in some way to career and success because it's where we're placing our energy. It has a direct correlation with how much we're earning, but the success line and the sun mount will much likely show us an idea of our success and how happy we are. Our career, our fate line shows us how happy we are with our chosen path. Whenever a fate line becomes quite faint as well, it can show us the difficulty in the road. It might be that we're working too hard and we're not perhaps getting enough money, or we feel we're not getting enough money for the amount of effort we're putting in. So I think that goes some way to explaining the formation of his fate line, although again, these are really rubbish images. The lifeline appears to, it kind of becomes more faint. I'm not really sure what happens after this time. I would say that just after the age of 60. So I would think that there are some changes here, early 60s, and I think that's coming back to what I have seen with the fate line, touching this blockage here, not blockage, but an obstacle. Now, the Mercury finger is the finger of communication and expression. Those two words are heavily related. They go hand in hand. Communication and expression are both vital skills in acting. Expression, the way we communicate, is only 7% verbally. The rest of it is body language and eye contact. It's how we enunciate. It's the inflections in our language. It's when we pause. You see what I did there? It's the rhythm in our voice as well. It accounts for so much that we do physically, fighting, dancing. It accounts for how we create things physically as well. When we craft something, when we paint, when we draw, when we write, when we make a clay pot, when we restore something back to its former glory. These are all forms of communication and expression. So the little finger, when it's stunted like this, when it's reduced, it shows likely past her previous trauma, and I would think that's probably due to a father figure that wasn't around. I can see what looks like quite a large space here, although it's a bit of an angle, between Saturn and Jupiter's basal phalanges, and that would imply there has been a lacking of a father figure when young, and this has affected the psychological makeup to some degree and reduced self-esteem, which is an interesting one. You don't necessarily need self-esteem to be confident, and vice versa. They're not quite the same thing. Our self-worth is not quite the same as our ability to put ourselves out there. And this reduction in self-worth is likely as a result of the minor inferiority complex. However much this person achieves, they don't feel that they are getting what they should be out of it in some way, and so they're compensating by, likely, I believe, womanizing in this case. So my overall conclusion here is that there are two themes to this person's life, Akshay's life. He has been the Hierophant since, likely, I think, 35, and that's because karmic years normally work in multiples of 7. Normally, and 5 works its way nicely into 7 by 7 times 5 being 35. Maths is not my strong point. In any case, I can't really rely on the palmistry here to provide that conclusion, just because the images here are just not good enough. I do feel that there was something that happened here at 28 as well. I'm not entirely certain what. Maybe there was something that prevented him, and which ended up creating an opportunity in some way. The Hierophant is highly significant because it's just so spiritual. There are two main meanings to this card. It's either internal or external. It's either we are gaining some huge sense of spiritual awakening, some inner wisdom, or we are enjoying the glory of reputation and fame and all of the material that it brings. Because let's not forget, this person is well dressed. Their head is adorned with gold, and everybody is looking up to this person. People want to be this person. They want to be in this position of might and power. How we use that, with that power comes great responsibility. Now, has this person used that power to great effect, or have they abused it? The signs in the palm kind of indicate the latter. The Hermit, which I believe is a stage in Akshay's life, he is about to enter at the age of 63, and that is because 7 times 9 is 63. 9 is an extremely important number here, and the fate line, the lifeline as well, provides us with these signs that at roughly the age of 63, we're going to see some big changes here. I think he is going to retract even further, not so much emotionally. I think actually this will be good for his emotional articulation, good for his previous unresolved issues that have created in some ways the reasons for his potential abuse of power in the first place. I think it's interesting because the Hermit is a card of solitude. It's a meaning of isolation and introspection, where once everyone was looking on, all eyes were looking up to this person. Now the only eyes are this own person's eyes looking within. And so I think whatever happens at 63, whether or not there is massive public scrutiny and a media frenzy and lots of accusations made and things, whether or not that does happen, I do think Akshay will retreat and isolate and become a complete recluse and look within for those answers. And I think he'll end up becoming a lot more spiritual. I think he'll turn more towards religious, one of its spiritual enlightenment, and maybe hopefully give back in some way to make up for this potential abuse of power. So that's my palm reading on Akshay Kumar. No one else, not getting anyone else mixed up. Can't believe I did that. So let me know what your thoughts are on this palm. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are, because some of the stuff I've said here is a little bit controversial, and I'm not entirely convinced I've been all that accurate, given that I made a big error with the previous attempt at this video. If you're interested in learning palmistry, perhaps your confidence in me is knocked now somewhat, then perhaps sign up to my level 2 membership, where you'll see fortnightly assignments released, uploaded to my blog, and you can participate and interact with me and the growing community of emerging palmists as we work on assignments and reveal what the hands say together. The hands are a complicated map and a language in one, and not everyone sees all. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.